Yeah, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Drawing for Tattooers. I'm your host, James Wisdom, and we are on Guy Atchison's Reinventing the Tattoo Network, where tattooers, apprentices, collectors, and the curious are all encouraged to join in these real-world and live streamed events. We beam out nearly every single day, and with your help, we've become a quality network of live and on-demand tattoo and art-related content. So, with that, I would like to try to share my screen with you. Maybe not. Maybe not yet. Hold on. uh, yeah, it's Monday.
Yeah,
It is Monday
happy
morning,
Monday.
so happy Monday. Maybe. Yeah. All right. So hopefully you're seeing reinventing the tattoo homepage. Um, right. So yeah. Our aim is to inspire and ultimately create better art and tattoos together. So you can find out more at reinventingthetattoo.com. Um, and so we are on all the major podcast directories: Apple, Spotify. We also have a Roku page and a Facebook page. Um, there's also Reinventing the Tattoo, the app. You can find that on all the app stores: Apple App Store, the Google Play Store. But you can always find out more here at reinventingthetattoo.com. So, navigate the page. I usually like to show, maybe, I usually like to show the events calendar, the events schedule. So if you navigate to the bottom of the Reinventing Tattoo page, you can find the event schedule. So I'll read off our events. On Sundays at 1 p.m., we have the Skill Building Drawing Group hosted by Jason Leeser. On Mondays at 9 a.m. Eastern, we have Drawing for Tattooers. That's this show. At 11 a.m. on Mondays, we have the Tattoo Weekly. At 5 p.m. Eastern on Mondays, we have Let's Talk About Feelings. And at 9 p.m. Eastern on Mondays, we have the Reinventing the Tattoo subscribers exclusive drawing group. Wednesdays, the Tattoo Now show. And on Thursdays at 6 p.m., we have the Tattoo Collecting 101 podcast. And so just to sort of plug some of the upcoming things, Reinventing the Tattoo will be live at Hell City 2023 in Columbus, Ohio. That's May 19th through the 21st. Live and virtual events. We will also have Reinventing the Tattoo members Sandy McAndrew will be tattooing, as well as Bruno Salvatierra will also be tattooing that weekend. So be sure to stop by and check them out. Additionally, Reinventing the Tattoo Table will have all sorts of seminars and also streaming events. So you can find out more at live.reinventingthetattoo.com. You can see the address up here, top of the page. But yeah, Hell City is going to be a lot of fun. So if you are there, be sure to check out Reinventing the Tattoo. And we'd like to take a moment and thank our sponsors. Tattoo Now. Tattoo Now is technology for tattooers of all levels. They have some kind of weird. He's got some sort of. Gabe has some sort of like sound playing. I can't find it. Somewhere in here. Damn it, Gabe. Anyway, so Tattoo Now is awesome. Ask for Gabe. He's got.
Okay, tattooers.
Oh,
I love.
okay, that's enough. The ghost of Gabe. Yeah, Tattoo Now. You can check it out and you can find all kinds of information about all the services that they offer. CRM, that's customer relations management tools, software, upgrades to mailings, upgrades, mailing lists, all sorts of things. So check out Tattoo Now. And of course, we'd like to thank Guy Atchison for being the founder and inspiration behind reinventing the tattoo. You can learn more about Guy Atchison at guyatchison.com, where you can find original oil paintings, custom prints, as well as coil machines and other tattoo educational content. So yeah, be sure to check out guyatchison.com. You can see his portfolio. And also, I think he's always like, sort of updating like different critiques and stuff he's doing. Um, I'm part of the reinventing drawing group, and I recently got a critique from Guy. It was very helpful. And so yeah, I think that's the sort of community that we have here, right? So anyway, it's a lot of fun, and come to Health City, and that's it. Okay, so we're so we're on. Hey gang, how you doing this morning?
Hey, how are you?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are not live on YouTube, just so you know.
Oh
Oh,
no.
Oh, we're not?
well, uh, I'll have to check that out with I'll have to check that out later. I don't know why that is, but we'll figure it out. They'll probably be able to put it on a little later.
Yeah.
And if not, it's all good. Really. Anyway, thanks for coming, everybody. I'm so glad you could join me today. Happy Monday.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Good to see
Thanks
you.
for having us. I'm excited about today's class.
Excellent. Yeah, me too. Well, yeah. So I wanted to talk. There was a fun story that I found out recently that I thought I figured I could share it with the group, because I think it's um, kind of about art history a little bit, and it's also it's kind of funny.
Ooh.
So here's let me see if I can. I'll something to share with you. All right. All right. This almost set. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
All right.
It's my dude.
So let's see. Mm, let's see. What is this one called? Yeah. All right. So this is Salvador Dali's Metamorphosis of Narcissus. Yeah, Metamorphosis of Narcissus. Um, and so here's the story of this like fantastical painting. In 1938, um, Salvador Dali took this painting to London because he wanted to show it to his idol Sigmund Freud. And and so anyway, the flower emerging from the egg is a narcissus. The figures in the middle, Dali called the heterosexual group. They advance Narcissus's projection, right? The landscape is both rocky cliffs of Dali's Catalan home and the mountains of Austria, where he was making the painting during 1937. So anyway, he carried it under his arm all the way to London to see Freud. Freud was unimpressed.
Oh, no.
Freud was unimpressed. And so Sigmund Freud said to Dali upon being shown this painting, in classical paintings, I look for the unconscious, but in your paintings, I see the conscious. Salvador Dali was 34 years old, and when this all happened, he considered this meeting to be a failure. So he did the. I don't know. We're looking at this incredible work, and and it was, to the mind of the artist, right, and to the intended sort of audience, it was, sort of a big disappointment, a big letdown. And I don't know, I loved that story. I thought it was
Who is Sigmund Freud anyway?
I was
Who
very
is he?
unimpressed
Who?
with Freud's work.
Right. Sigmund Freud.
Yeah. No, it's yeah, this is quite a painting, but at the same time, it's it really is shit. There really is sort of everybody's a critic, right? So
Yeah.
That's a great story. Thanks for sharing.
yeah, thanks.
How large is it? Do you know how large this is? 'Cause it looks like it has to be massive.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how big this one is, but
And that is so funny. I was just at the Art Institute and I was supposed to go see the Salvador Dali exhibition, but the line was too long. I couldn't get in all day.
I think I bet you it's not super duper big. So let's see. I'm responding to a text from Reinventing the Tattoo. Live now, but no YouTube. Anyway, I don't know. We'll see if we get that sorted out. Yeah. So you said you were going to the Art Institute to see the Salvador Dali, but it was like there's a special exhibit going on right now.
Yeah. And
Oh, nice.
it was like a virtual line and it was supposed to text us when we could go in, but we were there for like 3 hours and we never got anything. So it's a pretty yeah. I might try to go back another day though.
Do it. Yeah, do it.
You should.
I want to see the Dali Museum in Florida.
Yeah, I went to that one. Did you go to that one, Amber?
No, I want to.
Yeah, I went to that one. It's really beautiful. Like there's the one of the paintings in there is called the hallucinogenic toreador, and it's huge. Like it's huge. Like it's very, very, very tall painting. So I'd like to know how big this piece is.
What's going on?
Funny how the two figures mirror each other.
Yeah. You see the same shapes, just different
Interpretations of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like one is
And
more
you even see the same shape mirrored in the reflection.
Yeah. Because one side is more hand-like and the other side is like a crouched person.
Mm.
And a walnut.
A cracked nut at that.
Yeah.
So I just looked up a little bit of more information. It's the dimensions are 51.2 centimeters by 78.1 centimeters. Does that help? Do we do centimeters?
No.
It's 20 inches by it must be 30 inches, 20 by 30.
Oh, it's not.
Oh, okay.
I thought
Yeah,
it was.
so
Yeah,
not
definitely.
enormous, right? It's 2 feet almost, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
2 feet by a little less than 2 feet. So
Yeah, the one I saw was like meters. You know what I mean?
really
Like 5 meters tall, probably. Yeah.
amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness.
Cool.
I
Yeah.
love Dali's work.
Me too.
Yeah.
I met him in a dream once.
What was that like?
So I'll tell you. I'm glad you asked. So we were walking around the city, just kind of chilling. You know what I mean? And I saw a paint splatter on a building, and I looked at the paint splatter and I said, "It looks like a footprint." And he said, "Oh, I see it now." It's like kind of like a gestalt type thing. And he was like, "Oh, you have the eye. You have the magic eye." And so in real life, years later, I went to the Dolly Museum. And in the Dolly Museum, there's a little exhibit, like there's a not exhibit, but there's this little thing on the wall where it's like a little ink splatter, and he turned a picture into the ink splatter on a napkin. And on the side it said Dolly used to see art in just kind of random objects. And I was like, oh, now that's it. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
That's
So
kind of
I really
cool.
feel like I met him. You know what I mean? Like in the dream.
Yeah, that's so
Feel like
cool.
Yeah.
What do we think about though? Like I think this pertains to what you're saying, like the unconscious. You know, this is so that's Freud's critique of this painting. It's like I look for the unconscious, but in this painting I see the conscious. Like how do we
Yeah, it's
how
the
do we
same type
contend
of
with
thing.
that?
Yeah, how do you yeah, right, exactly. I see the unkind. What? You don't see nothing, Freud.
Freud
Um,
is highly overrated and
Yeah.
largely disproven.
Fact.
well, I
Right.
think it's still interesting, right? To wrestle with some of these thinkers, some of these ideas. Again, I think people could write off Dali. You know what I mean? Like you could say that all this art style is so dated. You know what I mean? We've overcome surrealism or whatever, or Dali was a fascist, something. You know what I mean? All of
Oh
this
my
stuff,
God.
right? I think there's a lot you could say, but I think we dismiss we dismiss the other at our peril sometimes. It's not to say that you have to agree with everything. You know what I mean? But we can, I think we can certainly make some space to sort of, to look, to have a discourse, to have a discussion about it. Um, yeah, no, I guess I'm like the unconscious is intelligence, and it's knowledge that does not know itself. Right?
Mm,
It doesn't
wow.
know what it knows.
Yeah.
Right? This is the unconscious. Like we all have it. We all have it. But it's something it doesn't know what it knows that it knows. And so what is conscious here is it's contrived in a way. It's like it's trying to sort of talk about like what is on the inside and really trying to put it on the outside. These ideas about dreams and stuff that are they're ineffable.
Mm.
We all dream whether we remember them or not. It's sort of like this residue that comes out from everything you repress all day long. Well, we repress all day. We repress,
Right.
repress, repress, and then in our dream work, it's like all this, all that stuff comes out, and it's sort of coded in different like sorts of strange combinations.
Yeah.
And so
Dreams get weird.
they do get weird.
Fact.
Don't want to like that's the thing. You start talking about your dreams, it's sort of like you deny what it is that it's that you feel like you're saying there, and it's I don't know, it's fascinating to me, and I love this work. Personally, I think it's exceptionally beautiful.
Absolutely.
But
Hmm.
why?
Yeah,
you
it's
know
amazing.
yeah, why? What is it that's so intriguing? um I don't know. I
The
just
depth he conveys in the painting is amazing
Yes.
because it just
Yeah.
seems like you could walk right into it and walk forever.
Yeah.
It's uh it's your eyeball, right, can sort of leave, can sort of go into that space.
Mm,
It's kind of weird, like, because obviously it's a painting. It's like we can't actually go back there. But like you say, I think we all would agree, like that there's a there's this sort of capacity for our eyes to sort of, you know, go into these, go into these sorts of spaces and, um, I don't know, like have an adventure, have an experience. Imagine like what's behind, you know, that rock, right? Or what's
mm.
Right.
beyond those hills or something like that. Like um, uh, your eye can, your eye is enucleated. It's like it can like leave
Let me
your
ask,
body and go out
let me ask you a question.
into these depths. Yo,
You know how it's almost the artist's job to create like an anchor point in the piece so that your eye. Oh, that's a figure in the background. Oh, I never saw that.
where at?
Oh,
It looks like a walnut.
the reflection of the hand that's holding the egg.
Yes.
I believe the other one on the left.
Yeah, the one on the left. That's a woman that's kneeling with her head on her knee. You see that there? Look.
Mm-hmm.
And that right there is the perfect
Yeah,
example
yeah.
of the unconscious and the subconscious.
So
Absolutely.
right, absolutely. So my question was, that's amazing. Where do you think the anchor point in this piece is, where you can like, where your eyes can just kind of like rest and then creep about the piece and analyze it so that it's not so busy when you look at it. You know what I mean? Like a lot of pieces, if the artist is not careful, you can make it just look like there's too much going on, and so that the viewer is just kind of confused. I feel as though the anchor point is the woman because it's kind of blurry around that area, and so you could just kind of like your eye could just kind of relax there, and then kind of look around the piece and kind of go back. That's just my feeling. And then while it relaxes there, then that's when you start to see the shape of the woman.
Do you would you sort of say, when you're saying anchor point, would you also use focal point? Is that the same, or
Um,
are they different for you, or
no, I
experience?
would I would say like an anchor point. I think it's an anchor point. Like because tell me what a focal point is.
So focal point, to my understanding, would just be the would be where you want the viewer to focus, right? So likely, so like let's say, uh, if we're thinking about like this particular painting, I think one of the focal points somewhere that my eye kind of goes to is this egg, right? I think that it's very sharp with with a lot of
Okay.
details. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's
Contrast.
right. There's the highest amount of contrast. So there can be other elements that are more in the foreground, that are closer to, let's say, my point of view, like wherever I'm looking. Um, I don't know, like if I look down here at the lower part, there's some mass of something or other down there at
Mm-hmm.
the low, in the very near the center, the lower center. But as I start to look up, like you said, like contrast and sort of, there's a sort of, uh, there's a real crisp, a lot of, the light, right? This magic light is sort of hitting that, this egg, and it indicates to me that this is like a point where I'm supposed to look. And then a lot of times artists will use a lot of tricks, compositional tricks, let's call them, in order to sort of to direct our eye. You want to keep moving, but also
Right.
you want to direct to this focal point. Um, but yeah, no, I'm interested in the anchor point, like this whole idea. I feel like I feel like they're probably related and similar in some way, but you
All
know,
right, I'm going to give you an example.
yes,
Can you? I wonder if I can share my screen.
I
Do
think
do
if
do
you want
do.
to, I was gonna say you should probably be able to annotate, but you can share if you want to share. You certainly may. We're equal opportunity here, so whoever.
I believe you're muted,
Jason, so good to
Jason.
see you. Who else is in the crowd today? Steven,
Good
welcome.
morning.
Morning.
Thank you.
Kyle Olson, how you doing? Uh,
Morning, everybody.
and we also have with us today Harriet Wisdom.
Hi, Harriet.
Hi.
Happy Mother's Day.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day.
We didn't get a chance. I got a chance to talk to her yesterday. It was that was great. Didn't get a chance to see each other though. We're far apart, but yeah, it was Mother's Day yesterday. So well, so we're looking at this painting. We're gnawing on it, right? We're talking about it. It has this really fun history, this fun story. Um, Sigmund Freud thought it was terrible. Salvador Dali was incredibly devastated and disappointed. Um, I don't know. I think that's so interesting, right? To maybe there you go. Annotation.
Oh, that's not what I mean. Oh, that's not what I was trying to do. Oh, let me. Can I undo that? Oh goodness.
Yes. So if you
I
go to
didn't mean to
the
do.
annotate button, there's you click
Uh-huh.
it, and then there's undo, redo, and then all of the the draw. You can sort of draw things probably with if you're on your if you're on your tablet, you can probably do it like with your finger or anyway, just play around
I'm
with it. I think
sorry.
this
Yeah, I didn't mean
no,
to do that. So this. Okay. So I would say that this would be the anchor point. I'm
okay.
trying to pull up another picture on my phone, but I'm unable to. So what I mean when I say anchor point,
Hmm.
it's like something in the piece that allows the eye to rest, and it can rest in this area, and use that as a point to rest, and then to be able to analyze the piece, and then come back to the rest point.
Mm.
In these rest points, there's not a lot of information. Sometimes it'll just be a lot of black, or in this case, it's blurry, so there's not too much information in this area. And I'm just saying that there's not in all paintings, but it's a tool. You know what I mean? It's a tool, especially if there's a lot going on in a piece.
I love that. No, I think
Yeah, I
that's
can see the need for that.
love that.
Mhm.
So can I ask a question to help clarify that a little bit more?
Of
Yeah,
course.
sure.
Why would you call the secondary statue or the secondary, figure there? Why would you call that your area of rest and not the vague, colorful shapes and shadows in the reflection of the water? Because that to me seems a lot more vague and a lot more peaceful than that secondary statue in the background.
It's bigger. It's almost taking up half of the piece, and then your eye kind of rests at eye level there. Like if you know what I mean. Like if I could see it being under that, but your eye kind of rests around the area of the heterosexuals and the checkerboard floor naturally.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then And I will say that's one of the main reasons that I was able to see the woman's form is because I was using me personally. I was just using that area as a rest area, and then and then I was just like, why is there hair there? And then I was like, oh, that looks kind of like an arm. And then I was like, oh, here we go. You all witnessed it. You all y'all witnessed my light bulb going on.
I think in that vein, then like a focal point and this rest point you're talking about would be two different things. Because for me, the focal point would be the egg, because that's what my eye immediately goes to.
Yeah, it's rendered in more detail.
Yeah, whereas I think you're right. Since the woman is more like misty, and also it's kind of like a puzzle too, because just like you put all of the pieces together, there, your mind kind of keeps being drawn to it because it's trying to figure it out. Whereas
Right.
the egg in the hand look very much like an egg in a hand.
Right. I just sent a image into the chat that kind of has another example of what I'm kind of referring to. But yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Let's see. Hold on 1 second. I think I can get this right. Okay.
You look extra cool today for some reason, Mr. Wisdom. I'm not sure what it is. Look back hair.
I changed up some, like where I sit in the. It's just less busy back there. There's more rest.
Okay.
There's more rest.
Now I can see your handsome face.
Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate
Got
that.
it.
And you have done something different with your hair, yes?
Oh yeah, I just got a haircut. That's all.
I was
It's
about to say,
summertime.
your hair's all gone.
Looking
Yeah, yeah,
clean.
yeah. Yeah, I'm trying. I appreciate it. Mhm.
All right, hold on a second. I can do this. I have the. Anyway, talk amongst yourselves. Yeah.
How's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Not
I took
bad.
a couple of trips to the Art Institute.
Nice. That's cool.
Who does stitched portraits of important Black
Oh.
women in her lives. Oh, there it is.
All right, so this is a painting by Archibald Motley. And the anchor point to me is this large gentleman in the middle. But the focal point of the whole piece is this woman's smile. That is the most detailed piece in this part of this entire piece. But the fact that this gentleman is there, it really allows us to look around, just kind of look at each individual thing going on, the different people that are enjoying themselves, having a drink, talking, the band's playing, the woman is smoking cigarettes, she's having a great time. And the thing is, this is no regular stuff here. This is like 1920s, like these are the children of the people who, these people haven't really been out been able to go out for a very until recently, I'll say. So if you can imagine the sheer entertainment and the sheer joy that it is to be out in a club scene, because like I said, this was painted in the early 1920s. You get kind of drawn into the piece by the left side. The darker band playing leads up to the gentleman on the left. At least left. And him kind of being the anchor point in the piece. So that's all I'm
That makes total sense, and I think sort of as analysis, right? We're looking at the other painting. I think I can see where you're coming from, and that's these are I think these are really important principles as far as composition goes. Like it can't be. There needs to be difference. Right? There has to be something that that like contrasts, right? That builds in some sort of priority. And so I can certainly see what you mean, but as far as the smile is captivating. The man's face, like his gaze is directed right at her smile. There are these lines, right, of this instrument. I don't know, is that a trombone? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's they're basically they're diagonal lines, right? We've certainly talked about this at another point, but like vertical lines and horizontal lines, they're very like static. They're very stable, right? They your eye moves along them very slowly, where diagonal lines are much more sort of disconcerting. They move our eyes quickly, and so all these diagonal lines, they're directing our eye back, right? There's diagonal lines here, right? There's diagonal lines. You could go on and on and on. You can just keep finding them. And Archibald Motley, was clearly very masterful in the use of like compositional devices to sort of bring us. And this scene is very busy, like you said. It has some point of focus, but also has somewhere for us to rest before we again like our eye goes back onto this journey and sort of go back, all the way back to the back of the room. There's people enjoying drinks and stuff, and then we come forward and we see this a relationship. Some relationship is something, of course it's like this, there's a smile, but like there's also something more universal, I think, that's like being expressed, and that's the part that anybody can relate to, the relationship between you and someone else, whoever you may like sort of associate with. You may identify with some of these characters in some way or another, um, but our mirror neurons are firing, and we're sort of we kind of we play these representational games, and we think about like sort of being there, because we are there in a real way.
Yeah, and this was right around the time when um, jazz was first starting. Like this particular image was in, he painted this in France, but he's from New Orleans, and so
That
he was
explains why.
there, right? He was there when jazz was invented, and so he was one of the first artists to really kind of capture this exploding new music that like nobody had ever heard before, and watching people get up and dance. So he was, yeah, he was one of those dudes.
That's fantastic. Others, what do you all? Does anybody have things to add, or I want to just sort of just talk. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
I like the use of the cool colors in there because most of it's warm. The skin tones are warm. Even the browns in their jackets seem to be warm. The floor's warm. I don't know if like the tables are even warm. The white tables even have like a yellow. There's a red glass of wine there. So I think the use of blue is very, very well done.
Mm.
Especially around his head,
Yeah.
you know.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Oh, I was saying just especially around his head. Like that's the most blue is around the man's head there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
We learned about this too. We've talked about like color theory and stuff, and so this I would sort of put in the camp of a split complementary color scheme, right? So it's like you have all of these, to Stephen's point, like you have all these warms, right? But then there's this, so orange is like the main, sort of like red orange to yellow oranges and stuff. And so what like sort of balances all of that? This blue, right? It's kind of the same blue, just a few key spots, right? But it really stands out, even though it's fairly minimal, right, in its usage. and it just sort of happens to it just kind of balances out all of those those other warm hues. Um, that's so just excellent sort of color theory. If that blue wasn't there, it would I don't know, it wouldn't feel as warm. I don't think. That makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
So I think
Absolutely.
that's a really good observation, Stephen. Somebody else, yeah. What else? What else is going on in here? Anybody?
I think the very deliberate choice of like exploiting the human instinct to look at the first face that looks towards you is really interesting because like the only face that is a full face is the main woman's face. Everyone else is like 3/4 or just like a part of their face. But another way of getting you to focus more on her was to have her almost make eye contact with the viewer, whereas everyone else is looking somewhere else. Yeah.
This is the unconscious. this is the unconscious. You know, I love that. I think that's it's very sort of insightful. Where we are sort of attracted uh, to that to the pattern, right? There's a pattern of to people's faces, and so we gravitate towards that, and that one is the fullest. So I think that's very very well seen.
This was also around the time in history where it was specifically where smoking was specifically targeted to women. Because I saw the cigarette, I was like, "Why is that cigarette? Why is it so prominent? It's in this actual almost dead center." You know what I mean? And then I looked at it,
yeah,
right. I was like, "Well, maybe he might not even be aware of it." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I love the way he uses the red of her lips to move your eye around the entire painting.
Oh,
because he mimics the red of her lips in the dress in the background, in the two drinks you can see, and then the red in the dress of the foreground. And it gives it such depth because he's using the same red sparingly in those specific spots.
oh, I love it.
See, I keep getting drawn back to the composition. And just the way that everything is composed. Let me see if I can annotate on here. And go with bright red. Cool. So like if you look carefully, right, you've got angles here, right? Following up with the heads there. You've got angles of the trombone. Okay, you've got this arm coming down, even that's at a slight angle down. Then you almost have a visual wall here with the guy in the background, right? But then that also connects over here. You've got a lot of diagonal angles there. You've got the leg down here. This leg's creating another angle. So you've got a lot of angular movement coming. You've got clarinet over there. You've got this shoulder moving up. You've got this leg coming down. Got this arm coming down. So you've got a lot of
like relationships.
Exactly. But it's all drawing your eye. And that's why I see this visual barrier here, right? Once again, just because there's nothing really pulling your eye over to that side, with the exception of the color of the dress, right? Which you can see mimicked, and the continuity of the scene. But it actually also works really well because if you look at, Golden Spiral, the Fibonacci spiral to draw your eye in, that's going to
I am see that.
automatically offset things so that you're looking right here, right? Because a Fibonacci spiral, the primary focal point of a Fibonacci spiral is not in the dead center. It's slightly off to one of the upper corners, right? So that's another reason why I think this composition works really well, because I can almost guarantee you if you overlay a golden spiral into this painting, right, you can see where that lands in relationship to that full face. You know, I think that's why the composition in and of itself works really, really well. There are a couple of things that really stand out to me, though, that kind of throw me off a little bit. Like, let me switch colors. Like this shoe, right down here, really kind of stands out. And I know it's connected to this woman up at the top. Oh, did I do something? No. Okay. I know that that shoe is connected up here, right, to that woman. You know, so that's fine and dandy, but how light this is in comparison to everything else. Yes, it works well over here with the stockings. I see that, and it works well with this headband up here and some of the other lighter areas that you notice that carry it throughout the piece. But for me, that just really kind of stands out. And it's like, well, why is this lonely shoe over here? Because the woman at the top whose shoe it is really, really pushed into the background, you know, just based on the amount of contrast, the color tones, and everything like that. These are just some of the observations that I've made. You know, when you're going with that kind of a split complementary color, it everything works really, really well. And it's going to draw your eye around quite a bit. But once again, these are just things that I've picked up on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
with the shoe, the heel, it almost seems like it's a directional thing to where it goes from the heel to the cigarette to her face.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Because you've got that kind of an arc
It's kind of
line
like
coming up that's
yeah,
following that same kind of a plane.
It's kind of like out of place a little bit, not enough to take your attention away from the woman, but enough to be like, well, what's that? And then it's like equal distance to the cigarette, and then it's equal distance to her head. You know, it's kind of like the
Makes sense.
Same angle of like the wine glass or the wine
Right.
bottle, the wine glasses to her. You got the big trumpet to her. You've got just everything's like pointing to her.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and in a sense, you are her, you know, because her eyes are darting around the room, and you know, just like you as the viewer are darting around the piece.
Yeah, and like if you think about it, like on like emotional side of things, to where like you were talking about earlier, Spirit, toward like the gentleman that's right next to her is like your resting place, you know, for your eyes, like, but it's also like her resting place. That's also her complimentary thing. You know, it helps compliment her to where it's still about her.
That's right. Yeah, and that's why I really like analyzing these pieces, because it's almost like, I mean, this is like television to me, you know, because a piece of artwork, I mean, it's you know, it's not just a piece of, it's just not just paint, you know. You know, it's kind of one of those things where it has a history, it has a story behind it, it's a living, breathing, you know, event. You know, just like the Salvador Dali piece. I mean, there's the layers. Oh my gosh, you know, and you know, it is the artist's job to see to it that you find it interesting enough to stand there and stare at it.
Yeah, and I think too, it's sort of like you were contextualizing this work as, you know, at a time of like Black Renaissance, the sort of the rise of jazz and sort of and of course, like sexual liberation, maybe like subsumed under capitalism with the sort of introduction of smoking culture for women. It's like maybe there's some problematics there, but certainly like this was this was all kind of present. It's all present in this work. Um,
But is it really?
we can't divorce that stuff. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This was right. This was this was party time. Like I just wish I was there, man. Oh my God. Like, the birth of jazz music. And this is the first time that these people really got a chance to like get out and party. And, oh my God. Can you imagine? Ooh, it just gives me chill. Art, man. I love it. I love it.
Have you ever been to New Orleans, Spirit?
Yes.
I love that place.
I know, it's magical. It is just magical.
Any suggestions, Spirit? I'm going in a couple weeks.
Oh,
Bourbon Street. That's all. That's all you need. What else you need? Bourbon
try
Street
to catch a jazz
and,
show at Preservation Hall.
Where?
Preservation Hall.
Preservation Hall. It'll be on my list.
Are you going to be on there on the weekend?
I'm going to be there for about a week and a half.
Oh, okay, cool. So
Yeah.
Bourbon Street is normally popping on like Fridays and Saturday nights.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That was during my partying days.
I'm not that much of a party.
Oh, okay, got you. All right. So I haven't been in my more cultured days.
I'm an old soul, Spirit.
That's good. Mm-mm-mm-mm. Awesome. Oh, eat some gator while you're there.
I've had gator before. It was like gator fritters, but
Oh yeah,
yeah. But yeah, exciting.
Yeah, I think that's the I'm excited for your trip and I hope you have a safe trip and it's just an amazing experience. But I guess I'm thinking about too about what Spirit was just saying about like being there at this time. It's like, we're in our own time, you know what I mean? And we we should gotta make the most of where we're at right now.
Yeah.
And it's probably something that will be recognized later, right? Like somebody was telling me about, I was talking to my one very interesting client over the weekend, and we're talking about happiness, and it's like happiness is really something that's it's sort of like after the fact. You know what I mean? You only, it's like it's not a state that you can be in all the time. You can't be happy all the time because that's nothing. But it's only later. It's like it's later on that you realize. And even still, this painting, like it would have been, I'm sure that there, maybe a great night out is enjoyable, right? But it wasn't like this. You know what I mean? This is a representation of what, it's like romanticized about what it was like. It could have been, you could have gone out on this night and maybe like you were hoping to dance with that girl or that guy or whatever. You know what I mean? It was like heartbreaking. There's all sorts of, you know what I mean? There's all sorts of contingency. There's all sorts of fucked up shit. And it's like, it's like it can't be all like good all the time. But later on, you go back, you paint a painting about it, you know what I mean? You write a poem about it, whatever. You present it for the viewer a certain way. It does sort of run that danger of of like sort of that we would compare compare our time to some other time. It's sort of like could fall into a trap, like anyway. That's all I'm saying is like I thought it was really interesting, just this idea of like you don't know. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes sometimes you're a pleasure. That like this immediately good feeling about what you have right now, but enjoyment is the positive feeling you get from not having, right? And so you enjoy this sort of enjoy this activity. You enjoy these sorts of like these moments, and later on you realize like, oh, that was that was happy. I was happy at that moment. That's where happiness sort of comes from. I feel like I don't know. I guess that these are all sorts of things that that art. I think art helps us deal with. I think so. But yeah, have a good time, right? Enjoy yourself, and fall in love and do all that stuff. I think it's yeah, and have pain too. Experience that stuff.
Can't have one without the other.
Can't have one without the other, at least. You're right. The duality.
It's so true.
Uh-oh.
Does anybody else have? Could we do another one? Maybe one more. Does anybody else have an image? If you do, you could send it in the chat. I'll put it up.
Do not bring up Cy Twombly.
I might.
Do not do that. You know what that does to me. And it is
I know,
not
Jason.
a good thing.
It upsets you, but
it makes me so angry.
Well,
now it almost makes me want to ask about it. I mean,
yeah,
no, that is like an hour-long rant that you do not want to go through.
My grandchildren draw me Cy Twombly lookalikes all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I know 3-year-olds that can draw Cy Twombly inspired pieces. It's very easy. That's
especially
kind of what makes me so angry.
Pastels.
Oh yeah, yeah. That is the technical term for them. Yes.
Yes.
I made a discovery. I will say that.
I mean, I understand what his primary motivation and purpose behind those pieces are. To me, it lacks artistic sophistication, and it lacks artistic talent and ability, and it lacks craftsmanship. And to me, those are elements that I believe that every true work of fine art needs to have.
Cy Twombly?
CY. Yep, there we go.
There it is.
James did it.
I did it.
Had to do it.
We'll just keep it there because it's not the best download. Not the best, but I mean, you get the point. You don't need fine detail for this one, but yeah, no, I think
I get it. I get it.
Interesting.
I can see why there's a.
Why would you say that there's no craftsmanship to this? Have you seen him work specifically, or is that what you get from looking at it?
It's expressed. So the whole primary purpose and intention behind a lot of these pieces is he's taking these emotions from fictional characters in different epic stories, like the fall of the city of Troy and all of these great epic sagas, and he's trying to channel the emotions that certain fictional characters were experiencing at a specific time. Okay, I get that. That's fine. I understand that concept, right? To me, to scribble on a massive canvas, because these pieces are not small. These pieces are enormous, to say the least. I mean, we're talking like 8 feet tall by maybe 10 feet wide. I mean, they're absolutely gigantic pieces.
So that blue scribble is probably about the size of a human.
They're gigantic.
Well, this is crap. This is amazing. That makes it pretty awesome, man. I can't lie.
But where is the artistic skill involved in that?
I don't understand what you mean by the word. Can you define the word?
So where's any kind of artistic skill involved? Where is composition? Where is rendering? of any kind. You know, what is he? I mean, everything is very centralized. You've got
Why do
one
we?
little weird scribble in the upper right corner, but there's no, it's basically just
Technique?
trying to express emotion on canvas, which is fine. And there are plenty of amazing artists out there that do that. And they do it in such a way where they actually utilize some type of artistic skill, right? Whether it's composition, whether it's, you know, painting one perfectly straight, consistent line across a canvas, right? But that line is perfectly straight and perfectly consistent throughout the entire thing, right? Okay, cool, fine. Even that takes skill to create a perfect line that's moving in one singular direction that is consistent, right?
I mean, art doesn't really care about those types of rules.
This is
Especially
true.
if this piece is enormous. If this piece is enormous, and to make it look like it's the size of a regular piece of paper, that takes skill. It also takes strength to push the whatever he's using to make these particular marks. It also has a diagonal. It also is using color theory. It has complementary colors, as well as it has the different various colors of the color wheel. It even seems to have a focal point in that kind of main blue area. I don't know if it's. I mean, abstract art isn't. You don't have to paint a rose in order to get the feeling of a rose.
Correct.
You can paint some dashes and throw some red and still elicit that same type of feeling. And I'm assuming this particular artist has a lot of these types of paint. Like there's a lot of these. I'm assuming.
If you knew what these paintings were sold for and how quickly he created them without any kind of thought about composition, without any kind of planning, without any kind of, real structure behind them, and what he turned around and sold them for, I think that's part of what makes me angry about them.
So are you angry or are you hating?
Both.
It's a thin line. Okay, all right. Oh, well then boom, let's say that then.
Okay, because this is something that, once again, I think you could find any child from the age of 4 to 6
Just
and
because
give
you're
them
a child
crayons.
doesn't mean that you're not an amazing artist. Children. I mean, we say, "Oh, my 5-year-old can do it." Okay, that doesn't take away from the beauty and from the expression, and
And once
how
again,
much are
I
these pieces selling for?
well over $1 million a piece.
God damn! I mean, they're huge.
Yeah, I'm looking at them online, and these things are gigantic.
I gotta get my grandchildren working.
Yo, seriously.
That's it, Amber. You got it.
Once again, I understand the concept behind it. I do. You're trying to channel that emotion and just really express that emotion on canvas using whatever mediums you have around, right? I grasp that, okay? That's not what bothers me. What bothers me about these is that out of all of the ways you could have expressed that emotion, maybe creating some type of pictorial image where you can really show disgust in a face or anger or frustration. Use those tools, right, that we've built up, that we've developed becoming artists. Why not use those tools to create maybe a scene as opposed to just grabbing whatever crayons are around and scribbling? I think that's what bothers me the most. Out of all of the ways he could have expressed it, why would you just scribble on canvas when you're capable of so much more?
Well, so the only thing that I want to come back to is that, of course, it's it elicits a strong feeling, which is, of course, an important component of art. you know, so
It's
obviously, you know,
definitely
it's like,
evocative.
yeah, there's something about it that like it, you know, it's hard to be kind of um, apathetic about, you know what I mean? You know, maybe, but it's almost like if you were apathetic about this piece, it's like it's kind of hiding, like, you know, maybe like you were saying, disgust to buy it or something. If you really love it, you know, it's like, well, why? But at the same time, there's a really interesting concept uh, from the philosopher Nietzsche. He talks about this idea uh, of the the metamorphosis of the spirit, and so it's goes through the spirit goes through these three different phases: the lion, or the camel, the lion, and the child. And so the idea there is like, as a camel, you are like, camels are a pack animal, right? You load camel up, and a camel will hurry off into the desert. This is like the work, you know, the labor of the student, the labor of the artist, the labor, right? You know, you like, you have to take on this incredible load, and you have to like sort of labor underneath it. The lion is what sort of, it fights for its territory, right? It kind of creates a space, right? So, you know, once you've sort of metamorphosized from, you know, from the camel, you turn into the lion, and then you're able to sort of get some space. But the final one is the child, right? And the children are sort of free of shame and guilt and doubt, or they're free from these sort of things that weigh down the spirit. And so I believe in a way that this is what is trying to be elicited here, right? We automatically sort of think about like, oh, a child. This looks like the aesthetic of, you know, a child did this. Now, just like we were saying before, you know, in the Sigmund Freud's, you know, critique of Salvador Dali, that, you know, we look for the unconscious in painting, but here we see the conscious. I think here we see the conscious. Right? Here we see this sort of like contrived, I'm trying to be a child. And so there's something that I think the critique in this can lie there, in that we, you know, it's like it is on the nose. It's very sort of like, this is a childlike sort of reference. It's like somehow you want to get to being like the child, where you're not weighed down by shame, but still able to sort of like give it that, you know, like return to childhood, but with the knowledge of your, you know, of your years, right? And through the experiences you've had, you're able to sort of go back, not return or go back, but be reborn, be born again in some sort of way. So for me, I feel like this is not, you know, I enjoy this. I enjoy that Jason gets upset, but
It
I
makes me
also,
so
I
angry.
think I think there's room for criticism here, right? That it's like it's too conscious of a, you know, child representation. But there are other works of his that I think that, you know, where he pushes that sort of idea, is able to work with it in a certain way. But I think, you know, like when it's important. I think it's important. I do. Like, I talk about fundamentals a lot, the principles of, you know, of, of the things that, like the things that Jason's concerned with, right? Talking about like composition and like, you know, shape and craft and all that stuff. I think those things are important. And as like a camel, as a camel, you have to sort of take on that role of like sort of engaging with those labors. But then at a certain point, you have to sort of like, you got to let that stuff go, and you have to sort of fight for your space and make it your own. But eventually there's some, you become who you are in a certain respect, and you want to sort of have uh, you know, this the grace, right, to accept, you know, yourself and what it is that you make, and be able to have to make expression that's transcendent in some way, I suppose. not that this is, I guess, you know what I mean? Not like sort of making some claim here, uh, but I think that sort of looking at these scribbles and talking about like what could be, what is it that we could get from it, I would sort of say like maybe that's a part of it, that like at the end of the day, like of course what we put on our canvas, our tattoos, our papers, whatever is there's a certain amount of craft and consideration that goes in there, but of course like your life could be a work of art, your whole sort of everything that you do and become, can be um, just a larger extension of your what it is that is your art, I suppose. So I don't know. That's it. That's all I got. Is not defending this. I'm like I'm critical. I hope that comes through. Like I'm critical, but also there's there's a certain amount of this that I sort of really attracted to in certain respects. But just like the Dali piece, I love that too. Critical. You know what I mean? You can be should have and hold both. I think. Same thing with your own work. Love it, right? But be critical. You should be critical of it.
I think Harriet just said something.
What'd she say in the chat?
She said, Jason, I wonder if part of what is so irritating about this is the feeling of that this is a big con.
Yeah. He has a permanent gallery in the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
It's not that impressive.
The museum acquired those pieces in that permanent gallery for a ridiculous sum of money.
Yeah.
I mean, almost what? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, almost 8 figures, right? Almost $10 million that they paid out.
I could have come in and done it for free.
Give a kindergarten class a 64 box of Crayola crayons and a big canvas that you lay out on the floor, and I can guarantee you they would come up with something similar.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, when I was just looking it up, one of these types of ones were sold for $75 million.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
That's awesome. What's his name again?
Cy, C-Y, Twombly, T-W-A-M.
Cy Twombly. He's my new hero.
Yeah, right? And I'm a huge fan of contemporary and abstract art. I am. And I can find beauty in anything. I really can. I love looking at even look at Marcel Duchamp, right? And his ready-mades. I can find beauty and inspiration in that, where a lot of people would just get angry, right? I mean, look at Marcel Duchamp's The Fountain, right? It's literally just a urinal that he sung. Okay. But even in that, you can see aspects of craftsmanship, right? You can almost see that like he's there and he's trying to tell people like, hey, there was someone that put time, effort, and energy into designing this urinal, right? This urinal, even in and of itself, should be considered a work of art, but gets no representation. Look at bicycle wheel on a stool, right? It took a craftsman to make those individual things, yet those craftsmen get no recognition as fine artists. So he combined the two and put it out in a show, and it's become a work of fine art. And I can see that he didn't actually make anything. All he did was literally stick a bicycle wheel on top of a stool and called it art, right? Okay, so yeah, no, he himself did not put craftsmanship into it, but he's recognizing the craftsmanship that was there in the construction and in the creation of these objects. I can grasp that. and I'm okay with that. You know,
I think
it's totally fine with me.
I would make just a small distinction there and say that the craft is in his in the gesture of of like appropriating that. That would be the word there. I take
Right.
your because it's sort of funny, and this is like, you know, again, it's probably doesn't matter to most people, but sort of definitions of art are very sort of elusive. They're you know, they are very sort of they're opaque. But one thing that, you know, that sort of generally is, you know, thought of is that like art is purposelessness, right? Art has to have a purposelessness to it. It doesn't, you know, it can't have a like, you know, so like the urinal itself on the wall, it's like there's, you know, maybe there were some considerations, but it's a functional object, so it's kind of like it's not art. It's not art until it's taken from that, you know, taken from that environment, sort of placed in the in a new context where it's not to be, you know, it's not to be used. But again, it's kind of like then somebody could piss in it, and it would be a performance, right? It's like it's sort of like there was the guy who did the banana taped to the wall. This is old news now. That's old shit, you know. But somebody did that. They took a banana, they taped it to the wall, and it's like, you know, now that's art. So again, I think there is um, a fine line there, you know, as far as like how do you define art, and I guess I take like you know, I like to sort of see, you know, a museum as a temple of art, right? So, you know, you go there and it's like someone has sort of deemed this to be art, you know, maybe a committee, maybe an individual, whatever. But I think you all are right in your like your criticism of the gross sums of money, right? These are generally sort of corporate art collection practices, right? Like these are multinational corporations who are using the rules about like sort of buying and you know, collecting art as probably to shelter taxes, right? But also to hold capital in certain ways that can, you know, sort of, it can again shelter it from other market forces. And again, it's a scam because you buy one thing at a high price, it makes, you know, the other ones more valuable by association. So that in itself, I think, you know, it's like we can't I think like go too far into this realm of like there's a whole other sort of thing going on, you know, when you start talking about that level of, you know, blue chip art collection. It's not the same thing, but people love art, right? And so I think if you're making it for your audience, there's something really beautiful about that. um, and and there might be something important, even though it is like there's no way that it's as sacred of an object as like as the price would indicate. This $75 million painting we're looking at, whatever, it's not sacred, you know. But as a work of art, it's absolute spirit, and we can, you know, I think there's a what is more than priceless is our conversation that we're having about it, and the sort of like emotions and stuff that we can experience, you know, sort of surrounding this thing, you know, like praising it, scapegoating it, all that stuff. Like, I think that's the value and that's the beauty of it. There is that like we can come around something, you know, have a shared encounter with this ineffable thing. Because we're all seeing, even though we're looking at the same thing, we're all seeing something totally different. It's totally different for each one of us. And
it's true.
But yeah, but don't forget about the, you know what I'm saying, you know, it's like it's probably the same thing as trying to chase these high dollar clients, you know what I mean, as far as like our tattoos are concerned, right? It's good to, you know, it's good to meet clients who are prepared to spend, what, give you the value of your, of your work. But it's more than that. I feel like, there's like on, like day before Mother's Day, it was like there were so many mother tattoos that they had to do. A lot of them were tributes to, moms that were dead. There's something about that, like experience of like, you're getting this tattoo. It's cathartic in some way, helps you to memorialize, people that you love. I yeah, that was pretty much my week. It was all, it was so many tributes. Someone lost their child, and I so did a piece based on that. Someone else, they lost a few people lost their mothers, and so there's a service. You know what I mean? That's like it's of course bigger than the price, but you gotta gotta have a price mechanism that sort of supports it, I guess. Um, but yeah, we're not gonna make $75 million painting, but I
I
think
don't know
if
about you, but I'm getting my Crayolas out after this.
do it.
Yo, right?
No.
I think if you are, if you can sort of commit to it and make it your
couldn't.
thing, as long as you think as long as there's something about it you think is beautiful and the world needs to see more of it.
I don't think it does. I'll let him do it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we have to, do our own thing. That's hard. It's really hard. There's a part of me that sort of says like, this person, Cy Twombly, probably faced a lot of ridicule. I mean, it couldn't have been all praise and accolades and stuff. You know what I mean? Just look at this stuff.
And I bet he was crying his way to the bank every time.
I'm sure.
Money isn't everything, though. You know
This
what I
is
mean?
true.
Money isn't
No, but it's
everything. You
easier
can
to
have a
cry in a
lot of money.
Lamborghini than it is in a box.
Yeah.
Think about how many sets of Crayolas he could have gotten for $75 million.
True.
I mean, he could have gotten like
They
the
should have
super
sponsored
deluxe
him if they
box.
think about that.
Yo, right?
Get them wax pastels, goddamn.
Maybe that's true. Maybe that's true. But well, anyway, I'm glad we could revisit this conversation because
I warned you.
No, I know. I
did
think
warn you.
that was you warned like you warned me like please do it is what you were is what you were saying. That was the unconscious, I think, was was that we need to have this again. But no, I think that was so fun. So fun to talk about stuff and just to like have a have some kind of have some sort of community where we come together and talk about things that's we may not like all agree, and it's probably good to get decentered. You know what I mean? To sort of like question stuff. It's like, well, I work so hard. How come I only make so little compared to Cy Twombly?
Yes.
How come? It's not fair. Like, well, yeah, no shit. You know what I mean? It's not fair, and that's like. We need we need difference, right? And we need sort of contrast, and that's important. I'm sure of it. I'm still working on that myself. I'm trying to accept it, but but again, I think there's that's what I think that art can really do. That's like the magic of it, the power of it. Is found in community. So anyway, I think on that we should we've been going for a while. Let's wrap it up. I would love to get some to hear your sign offs and stuff. Let me I'll stop sharing this. And so if you're still here with us and you'd like to say goodbye, let's start with Amber because you're first on my screen.
Okay. My name is Amber Morgaine. As usual, please keep doing this because I love it every Monday. It starts my Monday off right and I'm not groggy all day because I get to do something instructive. My name is Amber Morgaine. You can find me at Luxury Tattoos and Permanent Cosmetics in Egg Harbor City and on all social media sites under Amber Morgaine.
Thank you, Amber. Yeah, it's again
Thank
pleasure
you.
to have you. Yeah, it's thank you for your contributions today. Great to see you. All right, Kyle, I got you. You're next on my screen.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. My name is Kyle Olson. I tattoo out of Tucson, Arizona, out of a shop called Trinity Art Collective. You can get a hold of me via the website, trinityartcollective.com, or on Instagram at Olson_tattoos, OLSON. And I'd be more than happy to talk to anybody. Consultation, whatever.
Hell
As
yeah.
long as it's art, I'm good.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. And again, just like, yeah, I loved your insights today. We're talking about the painting, and I think it's always so interesting to hear the perspectives. And anyway, I'm glad you could come today, Kyle. Thanks for coming.
Yeah. It was great. It's always a good time. Always a good time.
Thank you. All right. Oh, Elise.
That's
What's you
me.
next?
Hello, I am Elise Morrow. I'm a Chicago-based 3D and fiber artist, and you can find me at Elise Morrow Visuals on Instagram and ArtStation, and you can find me at elisemorrowvisuals.com.
That's fantastic.
And thanks for having me, James.
Of course, Elise. You're welcome anytime, and congratulations again on your graduation. It's
Thank you.
so cool. And I hope you have fun on your New Orleans adventure. So
Yeah, I'm
take
excited.
lots of pictures.
I will.
Good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jason, got you. Here, let's see. Unmute you. Hold on.
Sorry.
You're right.
So my name is Jason Leeser. I host the Skill Building Sunday Drawing Groups here on the Reinventing the Tattoo Network. You can find me every Sunday at 1 p.m. We've got a great interview coming up with San Diego tattoo artist Terry Ribera. That's coming up Monday the 22nd at noon on the East Coast. Highly recommend you guys tune in for that. We're going to be covering a lot of really awesome stuff, going over a lot of like large scale composition, tips and tricks and stuff like that. So it should be a great time. And thank you for having me as always. And sorry if I went on a little bit of a rant about Cy Twombly, but I'm very passionate about that. But yeah, thank you very much for having me on.
Thank you for coming. It's always a pleasure when you can join us. And I love your passion, and I think that there's very good points. You know what I mean that you made today, and so it's a pleasure having you. Thank you so much for coming. I'm looking forward to your interview with Terry, and I'll see you in Hell City.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason.
Very
All right, Spirit, if you want to say hey.
Yeah. So am I muted? Oh, here we go. Hey, what's up? So, hey guys. I sent you an image on Instagram.
I was able to get it, I think, but I lost track of time. So anyway, yeah, we can go ahead.
Okay, yeah, just real quick. Last show you said that I should draw from life, and you suggested that I find something cool about drawing from life.
Sure.
And so what I've been doing lately is I've been drawing textures. I'll just go outside and I'll pick up some leaves or some bark or something like that, and I'll just draw the textures. I didn't bring anything with me today, but it's been really helping out a lot. I'm really glad that you suggested that, because I did a tattoo recently, and I was tattooing something completely unrelated to what I had been drawing, but I was able to apply the knowledge that I learned drawing the texture. So what I sent you was a discovery that I made. I was drawing one of those little it's like a spiky ball that falls from trees. They call them gumballs. And it's actually like if you look at it, under the little spiky areas, they're tiny hexagons. It's like a ball of hexagons. And that shape I sent you, that's pretty much what it looks like without the spiky little thing.
I can share that because I think that will help. Will help sort of illustrate what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, this right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's more or less, it's not that many hexagons because that was kind of the closest thing I was able to find, but that's pretty much what it looks like. And I was like, wow, this thing it exists in nature. It's sacred
Sacred
geometry.
geometry.
Yeah.
No, I love this, and I think yeah, and I think it's really, it's like planes, right? Like these are just shapes, right? You could draw them two-dimensionally, hexagon, pentagon. There's a square there I see, and so sort of thought about in perspective, right? Just that it's like at different angles away from us, and but it kind of gives us this sort of sense of like that there's a depth to it, and so I think these are forms. I don't know, what is it like? Maybe I'm gonna this is dodecahedron or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Whatever they are exactly. One that's probably like a soccer ball kind of a soccer ball sort of a thing. Um, these forms, right? The texture sort of sits on top of it. If you can sort of capture this idea of depth and those dimensions, then I think you really are able to have just amazing, like amazing time with the textures. Anyway, I'm so glad I'm so glad that you were, that you got something from that suggestion. I think all I mean from it is that, if we're looking at life, we trace all the time as tattoo artists. Probably lots of, there's no shame in tracing. It's an important thing to do, but um, uh, but I think drawing from life can be really, really valuable. And again, there's experiences that you have, but also like looking at a reference. Drawing from life will help you when you're looking at references. So I'd love to see that stuff. If you end up like sort of drawing something you'd like to share, love to see it. So
yeah, cool. Yeah, and I appreciate you for the suggestion of just kind of picking something that you know that you like out of it. It definitely works. So yeah, you guys gotta you can find me at Tattoos by Spirit on all social media. Thanks, guys. See you everybody later. Have a wonderful day.
See you later. All right, so I'm gonna just go ahead and sign off now, and I'm James Wisdom. This has been Drawing for Tattooers. We're gonna be live at Hell City this weekend, so if you're at Hell City, be sure to check us out. So thanks again, everybody, for coming. Happy drawing, and we'll see you next stream. Bye.